to This Week in East Brunswick. Despite the weather, work on Crystal Springs, the township's family aquatic center, continues. This week, Judith Lebline brings word of the progress. Monday night, East Brunswick High School athletes were honored at the Township Council meeting. And Tuesday night, voters defeated the 1994 school board bond referendum. These stories and more this week, including information about the spring lecture series at Douglas College, entitled Romance to Realism, and focusing on best-selling New Jersey women writers. But first, here's a look at programming next week on Channel 8. Join Lenore Kulik Monday morning at 10 for Look Great, Feel Great, and some creative band techniques. Stories from the Library follows at 10:30. On Tuesday evening at 7, tune in for a whole new edition of Just Kidding. A game show, a taekwondo champion, and more new book reviews are featured this month. You and Your Money follows at 7:30 with host Paul Hansen. At 8 o'clock, Judith Lebline joins local model train collectors on Exercise the Right Choice. An integrated language arts update is a focus of Spotlight on Education this month. Dr. John Kopko talks with reading supervisor Phil Cacavalli and English supervisor Dr. Miriam Hoffman Wednesday night at 7:30. At 8 o'clock Wednesday, an open dialogue about AIDS is featured on Teen TV. Host Carly Anton and audience members ask panelists important questions about the HIV virus and AIDS. Thursday evening brings another edition of This Week in East Brunswick at 7 and 8 o'clock. Don't forget to tune into Channel 8 for school closing or delayed opening announcements and for high school sporting events.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful, and oh, the fire's delightful. Oh, hi, how you doing? You're surviving the winter? I'm down here at beautiful Crystal Springs, getting ready for the big crowds, and I hope you're getting ready to join because time is running out for the discount period. So get that form and sign and fill in now because they're going fast, and you want to get a good spot. Let us know, let us know, let us know.
Monday night at this week's Township Council meeting, high school female athletes, families, and coaches packed the courtroom to see several East Brunswick high school teams recognized for outstanding seasons. The first was gymnast Jacqueline Haft, recognized by Council President Tom Clark.
Whereas Jacqueline Haft, coached by Lisa Scarano, scored a perfect 10 on vault in girls gymnastics, being the first person to score a perfect 10 in New Jersey high school history. And whereas Jacqueline Haft has selected a sectional champion in all round. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the East Brunswick Township Council that I hereby congratulate Jacqueline Haft for her accomplishments in vault and girls gymnastics and for bringing credit to herself, her coach, her school, her family, and the entire community. Congratulations.
Next, the high school girls tennis team received well-deserved honors.
Whereas the East Brunswick High School girls tennis team, coached by Karen G. Lanella, compiled a final record of 16 wins and 2 losses, having gained distinction as GMC Conference Champions, Red Division Champions, first place in GMC Team Tournament, and Greater Middlesex Conference Tournament Champion. Now, therefore, be resolved by the East Brunswick Township Council that it hereby congratulates and honors the East Brunswick High School girls tennis team for bringing credit to themselves, their coaches, their school, their families, and the entire community. Congratulations to you all. At this point, Mrs. Kitts will call your name. Please come forward and I will hand you a copy of the resolution in your honor. Mrs. Kitts?
Robin Kusnetz. Michelle Newman. Maya Kolak Khan. Selena Eng. Rima Suka Moran. Beth Dreyer. Karen Levi. Jonna Sharp. Karen Francis. Coach Karen Giovanella.
Finally, the accomplishments of the Lady Bears soccer team.
Whereas the East Brunswick High School girls soccer team completed an outstanding season with 18 wins, 1 loss, and 2 ties, having gained distinction as Red Division champions, Greater Middlesex Conference tournament champions, and Central Jersey Group 4 champions. Now therefore be resolved by the East Brunswick Township Council that it hereby congratulates and honors the East Brunswick High School girls soccer team for bringing credit to themselves, their coaches, their families, and the entire community. Congratulations. Mrs. Kiss, would you please call the recipients?
Christy Bongiorno-Boni. Allison Friedman. Erin Kelly. Tiffany Gore. Nicole Douglas. Prakash Gill. Pamela Harrington. Amy Bishop. Barbara Green. Harvey Herman. Jamie Weiser. Stacy Morgan. Lauren Nachman. Betsy Ostroff. Jeannie Raby. Rhonda Schneider. Michelle Tobier. Dawn Search. Casey Black. Chris Black. Courtney Glore. Lana Mayer. Amanda Smith. Coach Lou Koza. And Assistant Coach Brian Merrigan.
Well, congratulations. You did a wonderful job this year. I hope you can do it again for us next year. Thank you.
Also at Monday's meeting, Manager of Budget Adrian Eisner and Township Administrator Ray Stone made an early 1994 capital budget presentation.
The goal of the mayor and the administration was to bring this before you for consideration at the beginning of 1994 so that you could evaluate it and make decisions early in the year. This would also give staff sufficient time to move ahead with the projects in 1994 after the funding is approved by the council. The capital budget is a product of an intensive process of review and analysis. This process has involved many hours of deliberation with the mayor, the administrator, and executive staff. As you can see from your packets that you received on Friday, we began our review with about 70 projects submitted by departments for consideration in 1994 and subsequent years. We prioritized the projects for 1994, and as a result, we will reconsider a number of worthwhile projects that we could not include in the program for 1994 when we evaluate again in 1995. Our total outstanding general debt, excluding self-liquidating bonds and notes for utilities, as of January 1st, 1994, is a little over $36 million. For your information, the debt ceiling that is permitted by the state of New Jersey is a little over $112 million. We are at approximately 32% of the debt ceiling that's permitted by the state.
Councilman Joe Hudak questioned the township's gross debt, and Finance Director Lou Neely clarified the numbers.
It appears, when you look at the gross debt, as you commented, Councilman, that it is $89 million. But what you fail to recognize, and I think I've tried to spell out in my communication, is that we're holding $30 million of Treasury instruments that are guaranteed to pay that down because of advanced refundings. And when we did advanced refundings last year, we in fact lowered our overall indebtedness by $1,500,000. So on the face of the report, it lists everything. Yes, it lists that there's $89 million. But on the interior of the report, it says that we're holding cash in hand $30 million, so at the call date, the date that note bonds come due, we'll simply take it out of trust and pay those down.
When is the
That cash in hand does not put you at risk. So if you would take the $89 million and subtract $30 million, you would come down to what is gross debt. Now, go from that gross debt and recognize that a small piece of that is the Board of Education, over which you or I have no control. And so there's no sense in commenting on it. The next piece are the self-liquidating utilities. There are three. There's the parking utility, and a number of commuters are here tonight. They pay their way. They've covered 100% of their cost. The parking utilities never cost the taxpayers in property tax any money because the fees paid by the commuters cover the cost of the parking debt. The water utility, a self-liquidating utility, where users who use the facility pay its own debt service as well as operational costs. And so a portion of that is the parking utility, a portion of the water utility, and the third portion is the pool utility, which has $2 million worth of debt that was authorized. And that $2 million is reported. We're in the process, and this year the pool utility again will be self-liquidating. It will pay all of its costs. When you take those costs and subtract them, plus the refinancing for the parking and the refinancing for the pool utility of callable bonds, it takes $47,920,000 away from the net debt. So the final net debt that we're talking about, the amount that the property taxpayers, these people sitting in this room, are going to be liable to pay is $36 million. That represents 1.1% of the tax base. In essence, you're in debt 1%.
In other council news, Council President Tom Clark moved the report section of the council meeting up on the agenda so that it will occur before the public portion. Clark reasoned that this would give the mayor, administrator, and council members the opportunity to have the reports heard early and by an audience. The report section usually appears at the end of the meeting, and oftentimes when council meetings run late, there is no audience left to hear them. If the council agrees to change the agenda to Clark's proposed order, they must pass an ordinance to reflect the change.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful, and oh, the fire's delightful. Oh, hi. I'm down here at Crystal Springs. I'm making sure I got a good spot. You want to make sure to get a good spot, too, because memberships are going fast, and the discount period's running out. Get your membership in. You know, just because you've been home shoveling doesn't mean there hasn't been work down here at Crystal Springs. We're moving right ahead. In fact, they're working today. Makes it hard for sunbathing. Get down and sign up now.
Tuesday night, in the highest turnout ever for a school vote, Township residents defeated the Board of Education's $8.9 million proposal to expand the high school in order to accommodate ninth graders. 20%, or 5,000 of the 25,000 registered voters in town, voted. The proposal was rejected by a margin of 684 votes. The proposal was supported by the majority of the members of the Board of Ed and approved by the State Department of Education. It called for the addition of 20 classrooms, a gymnasium and girls' locker room, a cafeteria, and a half-dozen other use-designated rooms. District officials are now considering alternate ways of dealing with increasing student enrollment. Any expenditure is subject to voter approval, either through the school budget or another bond referendum. The 1994 Douglas College Spring Lecture Series begins this month. Dr. Louise Deuce, Associate Dean of Douglas College, introduces the series.
Well, we're doing a lecture series featuring popular women writers, all of whom are from New Jersey. Douglas is in the middle of its 75th anniversary celebration and capital campaign, and we thought it's a good time to celebrate the achievement of women of New Jersey. And heaven knows women like Mary Higgins Clark, Belva Plain, Joyce Carol Oates can be counted as great achievers. What the lecture series will do is explore popular women's fiction in a way that addresses issues such as, do women writers write for women? Or does it just happen that they have large women audiences? Are works of popular fiction subversive of the ideals of feminism, or do they somehow, in an indirect way, tend to support women's independence? For instance, it is argued sometimes that women going off and reading a book by themselves and leaving the dirty dishes in the sink is an act of independent decision. So issues involved in both reading, women as readers and writers, the kind of themes that are dealt with by women writers, the way in which women's subject matter is made accessible in popular writing. This is the kind of thing that we're going to be dealing with in the series. Speaker on Valentine's Day is a romance writer, a prize-winning romance writer who has written a number of Harlequins, a number of other series. I find her particularly interesting because of all the genre for women that are under attack by feminists, it is the romance. And yet it can be argued, and I presume Ms. Breton will be talking about this, what she feels the service of a romance novel is to a woman reader. We're very proud that Annette Myers, who is a Douglas graduate, class of '55, who has written a very successful series of detective novels featuring a pair of detectives named Smith and Whetson. She has a nice sense of irony, who are headhunters who get involved in murders of one kind or another. Annette herself is by profession a headhunter, and has moved into mystery story writing using her experience, and 2 women amateur detectives, which is a very traditional kind of murder mystery in American experience. One thinks of Mary Roberts Reinhardt and way back then. Joyce Carol Oates, of course, is not a popular writer in the way we think of a Barbara Breton, but she is an extraordinarily important contemporary woman writer who has explored a number of kinds of fiction. In one phase in her writing career, she was using popular genre and showing what you can do to give much more substance and weight to the formula that is fundamental to any genre. Looking very much forward to hearing her. And her most recent book, Foxfire, is about a group of adolescent girls in a gang, and it's a very exciting and marvelous book.
The series is open to the public and will be held Monday nights at 7:30 in Art History Room 200 on the Douglas campus.
I'm out here every week talking to people about sex. My message is simple. If you're gonna have sex, a latex condom used consistently and correctly could help prevent the spread of HIV and other STDs. People out there gotta understand. That's why I'll go anywhere to talk about latex condoms. Even into your living room.
February's Teen TV features a special audience panel discussion on the topic of AIDS. Here's an excerpt.
This is an open-ended question, but how do you think the Clinton administration is reacting to AIDS and their view towards the research?
I'll answer that question. I think that the jury is still out on how the Clinton administration is going to eventually handle people living with AIDS and general issues regarding research and other probably budgetary issues is what we're most concerned about. On the positive side, he says the word a lot. He's raised people's consciousness, and he at least appointed somebody in Washington to coordinate some AIDS services. She doesn't have a very big budget, and she doesn't have very many people working for her, so that's on the negative side. We also don't really know what's going to happen with the health care reform. There hasn't been much discussion about long-term care for people with chronic illnesses. So there's a lot of questions about what's going to happen to AIDS services, especially since the funding comes from a different federal source, the legislature. So we'll wait and see.
Is it possible for teenagers to volunteer for either of your organizations? And if so, what would we be doing?
We love volunteers. We have about 300 right now, and it depends upon what activity we are working on. We have buddy services, and if there's a teenager in any of the Middlesex County area that would like a buddy who's also a teenager, that's a possibility. We have people who work on our hotline. We always need lots of help with mailings and special activities. We have a walkathon once a year that we usually get a lot of teenagers and college students to help out with. And I think there's lots of organizations in the county that would also enjoy some support from teenagers. I know that your program has.
We have an extensive volunteer program. We have about over 40 volunteers right now. We do a formal training twice a year where the volunteers help our program in many, many capacities. A lot of it is direct work with the children and their families in the inpatient setting or in our outpatient setting, our clinic, which runs 4 half-days a week. We also utilize the volunteers with clerical work. That's always a great need since there's a lot of paper that gets transferred in the work that we do. We also are affiliated very strongly with Rutgers University, the Children's AIDS Network, which has been a phenomenal support for our program, where they've helped us organize our 4 large recreational events a year, our holiday parties. We also have started a parent night. We also have an infected mothers group, which we provide babysitting so the moms can come out. They bring their kids and they don't have to worry they're going to be watched and played with by our volunteers. So there's definitely always the need for volunteers in our program.
Let me just take a break from the audience questions for a minute to ask any one of you, do you see an end in sight? Do you see an end to all of this? Do you see a cure anywhere in the near future?
I'll answer. I don't see a cure. I think that because of the nature of the virus, that when a person becomes infected, it's going to be difficult, very, very difficult to ever have the virus, killed because it enters so many different organs in your body. I think that there are ways that life expectancy can be extended, and that's why I said before in response to one of your other questions that I felt the clock ticking, like my time was going to run out. But on the other hand, I've done a lot of research and found that there are many ways that you can help to boost your immune system, and with the aid of nutritional supplements and stress reduction and things like that. And there are people that are living longer and longer, and more different types of pharmaceutical products are being manufactured for specific needs that are, I take a drug called Bactrim as an example, which is a prophylaxis against the PCP pneumonia, which a lot of people contract. So although I don't think there's going to be a cure for people with AIDS, I think there are going to be different means made available to the public, especially if they seek them out, to lengthen their life expectancy a great deal. And in addition to that, I think there's a lot of hope about a vaccine being developed in the near future.
See the show in its entirety Wednesdays, February 2nd and 16th at 8 p.m. and Saturdays, February 5th and 19th at 11 a.m. That's all for this week. Thanks for watching.